I'm Stokes Fishburne.
And I'm Pat Fishburne.
The Odyssey, we keep saying this over and over again. The Fishburne Odyssey was one of the best things we did as a couple.
It was an adventure,
A real adventure.
People thought we were crazy. When we sold our house over in Sanibel, we had I guess it was about a 4,500 square foot house. We had just built it 7 years prior to that. And people thought we were nuts. You're going to sell your house and you're going to go in a 400-foot motorhome all over the country. But the amazing thing is we had traveled all over the world, and so had a lot of our friends. But you know, you wouldn't believe how many of those people had not seen their own country. And I said to Stokes, I want to see our country before I die. And so seeing all of our national parks in the West, we have seen 35 national parks and 17 national monuments. And we never would have seen those if we had not traveled in 7 years. So we decided to go ahead and get a motorhome. Now initially Stokes said 1 year. I said, uh-oh, I'm not selling the house and getting a motorhome for 1 year. So he said, well, how many? I said, 3. He said, okay, 3. So then we're on the road about 6 months, I guess, and he said, we'll never get this done in 3 years. I said, oh no? So we went 7 years. And I tell you, I could have kept going, but he was ready to hang it up. And that was fine, because we had 7 great years.
One of my favorite places, regions in the United States, is called the Four Corner region. And that's where Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado come together at the same point. And there are more parks in there and national monuments. And you see beautiful, beautiful
Terrain.
The terrain that you just want to keep taking pictures of.
And then our daughter, our eldest daughter, said she'd like to come with us and buy a motorhome. So she had a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. So she went ahead and got a motorhome, and she drove across country by herself with this 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and met us in Colorado or New Mexico or someplace. And then we went on the road together out west for 10 months. And our grandchild, still our oldest grandchild, still remembers that as the best time of her life.
We went to Vermilion Cliffs, which is along the border between Utah and Arizona, to an area called White Pockets. And White Pockets, they only let roughly 20 people out there a day. You have to get a permit, and they strongly recommend a guide. So we had a guide. We were supposed to go out on one morning, the next morning. That night, it poured rain. And we called the guy up about 5 o'clock in the morning, and we said, hey, are we going? Because we thought we'd be up to here in mud. And he said, oh no, we're going. So we got with him, and we started heading out, and we saw all these little puddles of water. And we came to this one spot, which we had seen it the day before, and it was no puddle, but this looked like it was a lake. And he got on the telephone and called his friend, who was also a guide, and said, get your camera and get out here. We have unbelievable water pictures.
So sometimes we were just lucky.
A lot of times you're luck. First time we went to Banff. We went to the Calgary Stampede and went to Banff, and then we took our motorhome up the
Icefield Parkway.
Icefield Parkway, which is on the east side of the Canadian Rockies.
So all the glaciers.
All the glaciers. We stopped the motorhome, get off on a bus, and go up on the glaciers. We saw beautiful, lakes that, what was the Peyto Lake color?
Turquoise, because it's from the glaciers when they grind and everything,
but
and they melt.
You see different colors. And then as we went up further north to Jasper National Park and Lake Louise, that was part of their park system, and We'd never seen that before.
There's three things that you need to have if you're going to motor home. First of all, you have to get along really well. Fortunately, we're married almost 62 years, we get along very well. Secondly, you have to be organized because you have to be able to find things. And if you're in 400 square feet and if you don't know where everything is, you're in trouble. And the other thing, you have to have somebody who knows what they're doing mechanically. And so that he was the one who knew what to do mechanically. I mean, for me, it was 7 years of ease, right? I didn't have to worry about anything.
It was just an incredible time. It just, the freedom, the ability to do things, to change your mind and to do, oh no, let's do something else, you know, whatever.
Oh, the weather's going to be bad there. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Let's go someplace else.
And some of the small towns that you put your motorhome in, we rarely did just an overnight. We almost always went for a place for several days or a week or 2 weeks.
We were a whole month at Yellowstone. Yeah. And we went back to the park several times, depending upon the season, because we wanted to get different kinds of pictures. And one time when we were in the summertime, we heard that they had snow in the Grand Tetons. And we were a couple hundred miles away, so we went ahead and got in our motorhome and went back until we could photograph the snow. After 7 years, I was not ready to stop. But I had promised, you know, that we would do 3 years. And so at 7 years, I really couldn't complain. I would do it again tomorrow.